Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another cooking video, and I am actually going to stuff some squash and bake a sweet potato. Let's start off with our rice, onions, cilantro, mushrooms, serrano pepper, squash, your potatoes, your ground beef, broccoli, and your cabbage. I decided not to use the broccoli. I'm only going to use one sweet potato and split it between my husband and myself. And I don't use but probably about maybe a little less than a quarter of a cabbage. So here I am roughly chopping some mushrooms. I'm going to cover the bottom of my pan with some veggie broth. And then I'm going to go in with the onions that I have already diced up. I'm going to let those go until they are nice and soft. And here I'm going to go ahead and dice up the serrano pepper. I'm taking out half of the rind and the seeds because I don't want it to be too spicy, but I do know that serrano pepper is not really hot anyway. Just gives you that flavor of the pepper. So we're dice, and then we're going to go ahead and chunk that into the pan with the mushrooms and the onions. Just showing you here how we're letting them go. Got it on high because I want the broth to cook the veggies. I did decide to go ahead and add just a little bit more of the onion. In a minute, I'm going to go ahead and turn the temperature down. And here I'm just showing you that I hold out the squash. I'm dicing up the meat of the squash, and I'm going to go ahead and toss that into the pan with the mushrooms, onions, and the serrano pepper. And this is how we are actually building the filling. And you notice I haven't added any seasonings yet. Normally I layer my seasonings, but in this particular situation, I decided not to. Here I'm just showing you the piece of cabbage that I took off, cut off of the head of the cabbage, and I'm dicing it up here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in a bowl because I need to wash it really quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss it in with the other players in the pool. Cabbage naturally sweats, so I don't have to add much liquid back to the pan with the other ingredients. But I did want to add some liquid in. You'll see me do that a little later because I don't want the other ingredients to stick to the bottom of the pan. So we just turn that down and we're going to let that go for a little while we work on the other ingredients. Here you see I have already gone ahead and sliced in half my sweet potato, and I took my squash, and I want to go ahead and just drizzle that with a little oil, brush it in, and then we're going to go ahead and add our seasoning to our squash so that it is seasoned as well as the filling that will go into the squash a little later on. And all we're using is just a little garlic powder, onion powder, and pepper in the squash. And here you see is where I added a little bit more liquid, and I'm going to wind up transferring that to another burner in just a little bit. All right, we are on to our meats, and this is just some ground beef. I had a pretty big portion of ground beef. I'm not using all of it. I'm going to go ahead and toss in my cilantro with a little rice that I already had pre-cooked, and we're going to go ahead and brown our ground beef. It doesn't take long for this part of the process to complete, especially when you're cooking ground beef as a crumble as opposed to a patty. It takes less time. Here you see me adding some cumin, and I'm going to go ahead and add some black pepper. We're adding in some paprika. We're going to go ahead and add some garlic powder, onion powder, and we're adding a little Sazon seasoning. And I'm actually going to layer here as opposed to the entire cooking process. I'm adding in the cabbage mixture that was cooking separately because this is what we're going to go ahead and stuff our squash with. And because of everything, the fact that everything else is already cooked, it doesn't need to cook that long. Now is when I'm going to go ahead and use the seasonings I just called out, the cumin, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and a Sazon. So I seasoned the meat layer, and then after I added the rest of the cabbage and everything. Okay, so here we are, the finished product. This is the stuffing that is going to go inside the squash. And here's the squash with cheese on top before I put it in the oven. And voila, you have your baked sweet potato and the filling, which is what I did. And then you have your stuffed squash with your baked sweet potato, which is what the mister did. If you're not already a member of the Fetch fam, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and download that app, scan my QR code, and get to scanning those receipts. You might as well take advantage of it. You're already spending the money. The receipts translates into points, the points translates into cash, and you can redeem that cash via store card or cash card, or you can donate to charity. Well, all right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, but you know we don't do so without saying, love yourself, love somebody else, and until next time, y'all take care. Bye.